Welcome back to another edition of Drop the Mitts Hockey Podcast, and today we have yet another great guest. I'm so happy that we could finally make this happen. From the Belleville and Ottawa Senators forward, Angus Crookshank. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. How are you? Thanks so much for having me on.
I'm doing great, man. Like I said, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. Obviously you're in the summer right now; it's your off time, so I cannot thank you enough for talking some hockey with me. But yeah, like I mentioned, it's off season. How's the summer going for you so far?
It's been
What kind of things are you doing, on your off time?
it's been good, man. Just trying to train as much as I can. I mean, it's a big kind of year for me coming up here. It's a bit of a prove it year for myself. Um, and obviously, I mean, part of summer is like trying to enjoy some time off as well. So I'm fortunate. My parents are up in the Okanagan in British Columbia here, so I kind of get to spend a little bit of time up there, golf a little bit, maybe go on the boat a little bit. It's not a bad area to be, especially on weekends.
How's the golf game so far, buddy?
You know what? It's actually been pretty good. I played yesterday, shot a 74, so I was
There you go.
pretty juiced about that.
How are the courses up there?
You know what? It's kind of hit or miss. It's tough in around Vancouver. Everything's very like it's all private courses.
Yeah,
So it's kind of hard to find public tracks that you can actually find a time at.
yeah.
Um, but when I don't know, I like I said, my parents are up in the Okanagan near a golf course. So I kind of find my time to golf up there. Maybe I'll golf in the city occasionally, but it's more mainly up in the Okanagan.
There you go, man. And getting back into the hockey aspect of the off season. As far as your game goes, you just completed your third season, right, in the AHL. Got some time with Ottawa. Obviously, we'll get into that a little bit later. Um, 13 games under your belt. What types of things are you working on this off season? As far as on ice things and then off the ice training as well.
You know what? I mean, obviously, for me being a smaller guy, I want to be as strong as I can. I mean, I don't think it's the same thing with. I'm going to say working on my skating as well. You can't be strong enough, too strong, or you can't be too fast, kind of thing, especially in today's game.
Right.
But other than that, I think just for me, just continuing to add kind of different kind of tools to my toolkit. I want to be as dynamic as I can be, but also be responsible at the same time. Like for me to, if I'm going to push for an NHL spot full time, it's going to be in that bottom six. So I need to be reliable defensively. You need to be able to contribute offensively as well. So whatever I can do to kind of round out my game as best as I can, I think will help me out a ton.
Yeah, 100%, man. I want to get into. I mean, you had a crazy couple days when you got called up to Ottawa, right? I mean, I think it was like a span of like friggin' what 4 days. You get the call up. Obviously your family's with you. You skate your rookie lap. It's your second game in, you score your first goal. Man, take us through those few days. I mean, it's a whirlwind. I can't imagine what's going through your head. Take us through what you remember and what you were feeling when all that was going down.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot going on. Even goes before kind of the original call. Like, so we were in Cleveland. We had just played Cleveland. I think we lost that night, but Ottawa had a few guys go down in a game against Dallas. So we had to wait in Cleveland. And Cleveland to Belleville is like that's our longest trip in our division. I
Yeah.
think it's like 8 or 9 hours kind of thing. So it's a trek. Um, and we're all waiting around the bus and I mean, I don't know. I thought I'd been playing some good hockey up until that point. I thought maybe this could be it. It proved not to be actually at that night. They didn't call me up that night. They called up another guy. So I went through the entire bus ride like, okay, like I'm not getting called off. It is what it is. Just keep working, kind of thing. We roll back into Belleville at 7 a.m. I try to go to bed. I get a call at 9:30 from our assistant GM Ryan Bonus and said, "Hey, we need you to board a flight to Vegas. You want to come out to Vegas and play for us?" And I'm running on 2 hours of sleep. I'm trying to navigate all these different emotions. I'm dead tired. And yeah, anyways, we made it to Vegas, got there around 1 or 2 a.m. And yeah, tried to find a way to sleep. There wasn't exactly a whole bunch of sleep or a pregame nap going on before that game. But the fact that my folks were able to come down, as well as my brother and my girlfriend, was pretty damn sweet, especially on that quick of a turnaround.
Yeah, dude. So I was listening to there was another interview that you had done with I believe it was the Locked On Senators, and
Yeah.
your dad even was like, "Man, I'm running on 5 hours of sleep, but I'm ready to go." And he was so amped up. And man, talking about your first goal, obviously it didn't happen the first game. You're in Vegas. I'm watching the video, man, and like again, you skating that rookie lap in Vegas, that atmosphere is incredible. And then you score your first goal in against Arizona. Take us through what that was like. What do you remember about the play, if you remember anything at all?
Yeah, to your first point, Vegas was crazy. That's an outrageous hockey market.
Yeah,
Just like nothing. It's so Vegas. Like just is such a production, and it's. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's unbelievable, and it was nuts. Like the bass during warmups, it's nothing I've ever felt like before.
right.
Certainly gets you going for a game. But yeah, when I scored in Arizona, I remember I kind of picked my guy off the draw, rolled towards the net because we had snapped it back. Sanderson wheeled the net, fed it up to Zub, and then Zuby just kind of fired one, and I was like, I kind of separated myself from the D, and I was able to reach out, put a stick on it, and just kind of found a way through. And then from that point on, it was just a pure blackout.
Those are always my favorite moments. Obviously, like they immediately after they show like your parents and your brother celebrating. You mentioned your brother's holding a tall boy, just like going crazy, man. Like those are those are my favorite moments. Obviously, like I can't imagine what it's like to have your family's there. Everyone's there to celebrate with you.
Yeah, you know what? The coolest part was, so like I said, like as soon as the puck went in, I blacked out. Then when I kind of just came back to, I mean, we were playing in Mullet Arena, so it's a smaller arena. You can kind of, as a player, you can kind of see individual people a little better versus just like a massive crowd, like for
Yeah.
example in Vegas. Um, and like as soon as I came out of back into consciousness, I looked up and I literally saw my parents and my brother right there, just going nuts,
That's
which was
unreal, man.
which was actually like that'll be a real cool memory for me to have for a long time.
100%, man. And again, you played a fair 13 games. You played those 13 games, obviously, then you're back down to Belleville. What was the biggest adjustment for you, as far as AHL to NHL? And then was there an adjustment for you going from the NHL back to the AHL?
Uh for sure. I mean, I think going from the AHL to the NHL, everything's very methodical in the NHL. Everybody so knows where to be, everybody's in the right spots, that sort of stuff. So you kind of you have to be able to think the game on a high level and know that, okay, you just have to know your reads. If you're able to know your reads, then you can make it like clockwork, for lack of a better description. And that's still something I'm trying to learn too. I mean, you see the guys that play like 1,000 games, like those guys are like, it looks like some games they don't even sweat, kind of thing, but they know, but they'll get out of the game and they have 1-and-1 kind of thing. And like, how do you do it? If you watch them, they're methodical with everything they do. And going from the NHL to the A, it's a little more. I think it's more an individual standpoint. I mean, so the first time I got sent down, I mean, my confidence was really high. Like obviously, you get called up the NHL, like, oh my god, like this is the best thing ever. Obviously, there's that disappointment of being sent down, and it's like it's something you want to stay up forever, all that stuff. But that's just with how today's game is, and how teams are pressed up against the salary cap. That's just some things are just out of your control as a younger player. So for me, I'll use myself as an example. I was pretty disappointed. I thought I played well. I thought I wanted to stay, all that stuff. I'm sure every young player that got called up and sent down would think the same thing. And just kind of getting back to finding your kind of groove again in the American League, what made you successful as an American League player, without deviating from NHL habits. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you see there's a lot of guys that just stay as tweeners. They're almost too good for the A, but not good enough for the NHL kind of thing. And that's, I think, for any player, that's their worst nightmare. You want to be an NHLer,
Yeah.
and you don't want to be labeled as that kind of guy. So just kind of finding what makes you good at the American League level without compromising your habits of that management look for to get called up.
Yeah, man, and I'm kind of curious. You made a point earlier about, how another guy had gotten called up before you. You thought you were playing really well. You probably, were playing good hockey. You did all season. Like, and you being a younger guy, like, how do you kind of use that as like fuel? Like, how do you like? I can imagine how hard that is to like not take it personal, but almost like be like, well, what the fuck? Like, I'm doing everything right. Like, how do you kind of use that as fuel? And not get overly frustrated.
I don't know, I guess for me, kind of the way my brain works. I mean, my route to where I am today hasn't exactly been the straightest of lines.
Yep.
There's been a lot of ups and a lot of downs, and a lot of people that have kind of doubted me or bet against me, all that sort of stuff. So I already have a pretty big chip on my shoulder to begin with.
Yep.
And that allows me, I don't know, I just added it to the chip kind of thing. I mean, it ended up working out, but don't get me wrong. I was incredibly happy for the guy because everybody's trying to get to the NHL. It was his first call up as well. So it was great for him. And I'm super happy for him as a friend, as a teammate, all that stuff. But at the same time, you have that individual desire within you. It's the same thing for everybody. And I mean, we had a really good group in Belleville. When guys got called up, it'd be like, oh my God, that's awesome, man. Go be yourself. Go have so much fun. You're going to be awesome, kind of thing. But inside, everyone's burning for that, for that opportunity to be theirs. And that just makes for healthy competition. That makes guys more mentally strong. And it definitely, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was kind of rattled that night, but then by the end of the bus ride, I was over it. You let yourself kind of brew over it or fester over it for an hour, and then, all right, time to sit it down. We're onwards.
100%, man. I mean, that's the mindset of a true professional. And man, going back to this season, you put up really good numbers. Obviously, 24 goals, 22 assists, 46 points in 50 games, which honestly you could have passed your career highs. I mean, you played in however many less games, 21 less games. What do you contribute to that growth? And to caveat off that, what areas of your game specifically do you take the most pride in and kind of saw yourself most elevate in this season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very fortunate where I was able to play with one very good line mates this year. We had a lot of really skilled players in Belleville that we were able to kind of feed off of each other really, really well. And also the coaching staff, they helped me a ton this year. I mean, I give full credit to Chris Dennis and David Bell for kind of my development path this year. It's they were patient with me, and they know how to kind of work with me. They know when to kind of tell me to relax, because if anything, I'll get a little too revved up, or I try to work my way through things when sometimes it's like, okay, just set it down. And I mean, areas of my game that I kind of take pride in. For me, this kind of started ever since my pro career started. It's my kind of two-way game. Like I want to have a good plus minus. And I mean, that's something my first year in the American League, by Christmas, I was a minus 25. And I was like, oh my God, like this is horrible. And the coaching staff sat me down and was like, look, we're going to just view this as your net zero again, reset, and go from there. And they just kind of showed me through video, through teaching, that sort of stuff. They were harsh with me, which is good. It's what I needed. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, we believe in you, we support you, and we want to see you have success. So they stuck with me through it. And I mean, it started to kind of turn the corner last year, and even this year. I forget what I finished out as a plus minus wise, but it was certainly a better number than minus 25. So I think that's kind of one thing I take pride in, just my kind of defensive play, but also from an offensive standpoint, just going to the net. And I mean, for me, that's where I like to score my goals. I think that's where you get your most high percentage looks, right? So why not go there?
Yeah.
I don't know. That, and just kind of not being afraid to just go to those dirty areas and be willing to kind of get into it with maybe a bigger guy or some monster in the league or something like that. I don't know.
Dude, it's
Be the
so funny.
guardians.
No shit, man. The next question I was just about to ask you. Us being Drop the Mitts podcast, we always love a good scrap. I always appreciate, I'm similar, man. This shorter guy, not short, but like I came across this clip, dude, with Simone Edvinson, and it was one of the funniest things. And I was out. It's my second day of work today, and I'm sitting there and I'm going through all these videos, and I see this one clip, man. You at 5'10", he's 6'6", and just this clip of you trying to hit this dude's helmet away, and then you two go at it, and you have absolutely no fear, like, and then you're trying to go back at him. Can you take us through that scrap and any other memorable scraps you had this year?
Uh, well, I wouldn't say I really had any. That's probably the most memorable one. I wouldn't say I'm a very successful fighter. I'd say I'm willing to go. I wouldn't say I'm a successful fighter. But yeah, with that clip, it was the end of the game, and it was the end of the game. They had just scored an empty netter, so everybody's already kind of pissed off on our side of things. And I guess there was, I don't know what was exactly said, but I guess there was some things said by stuff happened towards the end of the game, and stuff was said. And I wasn't aware of that. I just saw the scrap, and I don't know, me being kind of a bit of a pest, and I like to piss people off. I saw a free helmet, so I thought I'd just tee it up and whack it out of the way. Then people didn't like that, and then next thing you know, I look up and I'm just like, my head's all the way up here looking up at this guy. I'm like, okay, here we go. And yeah, I was able to land a couple, and then I mean, the guy's a tree out there.
Yeah.
So he just kind of threw me to the ice at that point.
You held your own though. Like no one can deny that you didn't hold your own. I mean, that it was impressive.
I got chirped pretty good by some Red Wing fans in my DMs on Instagram and Twitter after that game, which was kind of funny.
Unreal though, man. And another accomplishment, I guess, this year, you were named to the All-Star team, which is honestly the best of the best in the AHL, right? And you got to represent the North All-Stars. Got to spend some time in San Jose. Talk to us about what that experience was like. Obviously it was your first All-Star game, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's a huge honor, huge accomplishment. What was that time like in San Jose?
You know what? That was actually really cool for a couple of reasons. One, I've never really kind of been selected for something like that before. So for me personally, I thought it was a pretty cool honor, and I was kind of touched by that. I don't know. It wasn't something I was totally expecting. Then our coach announced it in a meeting one day, and was like, "Oh my God, this is wow." But another thing. So a guy on Cleveland, Jay Christensen, he and I grew up playing together ever since we were like 5 years old. We still train together every single day, all that stuff, and he was named to the team as well. So kind of having both of us on the same team, both of our families down there to kind of experience that. Yeah, I think it was something. It was really, really cool for the both of us to kind of, wow, this is really kind of a full circle moment here. And yeah, it's fun. I got the jersey from the game framed. I actually just picked it up yesterday.
Nice.
And I thought about that. I was thinking about that yesterday. How cool of a moment that was.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. Like I said, that's a huge honor. I was going through the list of, guys, young guys like yourself that made it. I mean, guys that I fully anticipate, including yourself, that we're gonna see in the league. Man, I want to go back to your days at UNH. Honestly, that's the first time where I saw you play, and man, just loved your game. Obviously, the whole Northeast is college hockey central. I mean, people from Minnesota and whatnot will probably disagree with that, but um, man, what was your time like at UNH? What went into that decision? You being a kid from Canada, what went into that decision? And what was it like playing at Whitmore? Because man, I've been there at some crazy games, and those fans are friggin' wild.
Yeah, I was so lucky to play in front of those fans, man. Some of those games were just, oh my God, they're some of my most favorite games I can think of off the top of
Right.
my head. My decision to kind of go there, I mean, for me, I was a small kid in Bantam, and in the Western League, it's a Bantam draft.
Right.
So it just kind of, I was passed over that kind of, as we talked about, kind of the whole chip on the shoulder thing. I kind of wrote that off. Okay, screw you. I'm not going to your league. I'm
Yeah.
going to go the college route. My dad played college as well, so I kind of had a bit that on my radar a little bit. And I don't know. For me, I think it's obviously, I don't know. I wanted to have as a freshman the chance to play,
Yep.
and that. I mean, obviously, kids love to go to the big schools, the Denvers, the BCs, BUs, Nodax, Minnesotas, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not to say UNH is in that realm. I mean, UNH has been a powerhouse in hockey East for a long, long time. But when I talked to Coach Souza, it was like, okay, I'm wanting to rebuild this program. I view you as a piece of the puzzle. Like, I'm like, okay, like I as me, like I want to play. I want to play a proper role in helping this program. And I mean, I think that was the most important part of my decision. As well as, I mean, it's you go to a game and it sells you pretty
Yeah.
quick. Um, so yeah, that was kind of my rationale as to why I went there. But I can't. My development there. I mean, I was there for 3 years, and I can't thank Coach Souza and Coach Giuliano enough there to how they cultivated me for pro hockey. Um, I had a lot to learn coming out of junior. I mean, junior, you're you don't know how to play proper hockey in junior hockey. I mean,
Right.
for me, I was very offensive. I didn't know D zone. I would just chase the puck around just because I wanted the puck on my stick to get going, kind of thing. And sure, that might work in junior, but in college, when there's first round picks on the ice, all that stuff, that it probably not going to fly. Um, so yeah, they taught me a ton. It was funny. Coach Souza would always use this one clip from Looney Tunes called like it was. But if you've ever watched the Looney Tune clip, Bugs Bunny baseball,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny, he plays every position. And like Coach Souza pulled me in one day, showed me this clip, like this is you in the D zone right now, and it's not good. I'm like, okay, thanks, man, I appreciate it. But no, they really helped me just one mature myself from a person standpoint. I had a lot to learn going into school, and I mean, I made friendships there that, I mean, those guys will be the best men at my wedding, kind of thing. It's yeah, no, I can't speak highly enough of the program there, the school, and the relationships I made there.
Was it one of those things where like as soon as you went to the campus, kind of saw the arena, all that, it was instantly like you were sold, or were there any other schools that kind of you had on your radar that might, showed a little bit of interest, or was it UNH all the way?
Uh yeah, I mean, there's a couple schools that showed some interest. I committed pretty early. I committed out of U18,
Yeah.
so I hadn't even gotten to junior yet. Um, but for me, like I don't know, as soon as I stepped on campus and saw the rink and all these things, I was like, okay, this I see myself playing here.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just have like a funny feeling when you walk into some place. You're just like, okay, yeah, this is it,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
We mentioned how, the environment of Whitmore. Um, for our listeners that don't know, I mean, I'm pretty close to UNH, close enough. I'm in Mass, but crazy environment. Um, when you think back to other rinks that you've played in besides Whitmore, what is the craziest barn you've played in? Is there one that kind of sticks out to you that you're like, holy shit, like going into that game, you were like, yeah, I'm getting chirped for sure.
The Alphond, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Wit is number one for me, but the Alphon is number two. That's a pretty damn cool barn to play in. And I mean, the rivalry aspect just adds to the.
Do you have like any singular memories of a game played there?
Oh man, I think it was my sophomore year. We were playing there, and at Alphon, you got to skate the lane. You go out when you go out for warm-ups or onto the ice, you skate out of mains end and go to the far end, and you just look out, and this student section is just overhanging over, literally over you. And you got like they do all their research. If you have a girlfriend at school, your girlfriend's getting chirped. your parents, your brother, whatever, your dog, whatever they can find on you, you're getting roasted for it. And then like you're getting, I don't know, you'll you'll come out off the ice and like take your helmet off. Oh, you have spit on your helmet, that
Oh,
sort of stuff. And it's just like, I don't know, whatever they can do, kind of thing. I don't know. I always like playing there. It's a cool old rink.
you like so obviously you played 3 years, had a great career. As far as like, do you have any like a singular memory of just college hockey as a whole? Not necessarily just like an arena you played in, but a singular memory, whether it was like a game you played in, like a moment, a goal, whatever it may be that like is going to stick with you forever.
Uh, I have two actually. So my dad, it was my sophomore year. My dad had never seen me play college hockey. He hasn't been to a college hockey game since his last game at Duluth, and so he came for one weekend against Boston College and another weekend against Michigan. And the one game against Boston College, 0-0 game going into overtime. And it was, for whatever reason, this was when hockey use was still 5-on-5, OT for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just the most ridiculous overtime rules of all time. But anyways, I was fortunate. I scored the overtime winner against Boston College, and it was, I don't know, it was just awesome. And my dad was there to see it, as well as there was a Michigan game, and kind of same thing happened. Both at the Wit, and both were again crazy crowds.
Yeah.
But just having my dad there for those moments was it was really cool for me, and I like to think it was pretty cool for him as well.
Unreal, man. Yeah, man. I can remember a few games following you. I love all college hockey, man. So I appreciate, the Whitmore, everything, man. There's nothing like college hockey in my opinion.
I agree with you.
Uh, Obviously, Friday, man, we've got the NHL draft happening in Vegas. You were selected in the fifth round, 2018 draft by Ottawa. Um, 2018, man. I'm thinking back. It seems like a long time ago.
No, I know.
Can you take us through what you remember from that day, when you got the call from Ottawa? Just what was going through your mind that whole process?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I was on some lists, not on others. So I was like, I don't know, it's easier for me to say, okay, I'm not getting picked. Let's just put our heads down here and let's just work, kind of thing. So I like, obviously I wasn't going the first day. So the first day I watched just for curiosity.
Yeah.
Then the second day came along and I was like, I'm not going to watch. It's just easier if I don't watch it, and just go from there. But my brother was downstairs. I was making breakfast in the kitchen, and all of a sudden my brother just yelled like, "Oh my God!" There was some profanity in there, but we'll keep it family friendly. Um, and then my phone buzzed as soon as he yelled. My agent just said Ottawa. I'm like, are you serious? And I run downstairs and my name popped up on the screen. And then I got a call 5 minutes later from the assistant GM, and it was just like, this is ridiculous. Like I didn't expect it. I didn't expect myself to be in the fifth round either. If I was to go, I thought I was going to be like seventh,
Yeah.
like towards the end of the draft kind of thing. But yeah, no, that was a really cool moment to kind of share that one with my brother, who's been my biggest supporter, um, his entire life kind of thing. And with my parents as well. I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere today without my brother and obviously my parents as well.
Now, growing up, man, were you a Vancouver fan?
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh
man,
yeah.
what's going through your mind? Is there a little part of you where you're like, "Fuck," like what? Like, obviously, unreal to get drafted. Not taking that away, but like, I'm always curious of like guys, like for example, that say they're like Bruins fans growing up, they get drafted by Montreal. Like, was it something like similar to that?
Uh, I wouldn't say, don't get me wrong, it'd be amazing. It'd be unbelievable if I got drafted by the Knox.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Wasn't something that I really thought of. My dad joked with me afterwards. He's like, as long as it wasn't the Leafs, man, I didn't care.
Right.
Because
Feel a lot of people feel that way.
he grew up a Habs fan, so he
Yeah.
was pretty he's very anti-Toronto. So
Yeah.
he was pretty happy that it was Ottawa, not Toronto.
100%, man. You mentioned earlier, man, you kind of had that mindset of like, just put your head down, work, grind it out. As far as this draft goes, there's going to be a lot of players this weekend that have high hopes. They, dreams, goals of going top, whatever, first round, whatever it may be. For you, a guy who went in the fifth round, absolutely worked your ass off. I mean, through Bantam, college, even like now. Um, what advice do you have for those guys that kind of slept on? And even going through this process, man, I feel like you're gonna have a lot of kids that are kind of disappointed that they're going at a certain spot. What's your advice to those guys, as far as what their mindset should be?
Yeah, I think. I mean, if they're drafted, I think you gotta have the mindset of you're fortunate to be selected into the National Hockey League, obviously first and foremost, and secondly, if you don't like where you're picked, you got to find a way to prove, not just find a way to get a chip on your shoulder and just be angry is the wrong term, but somewhat bitter.
Yeah.
I think bitter is kind of the best way of putting it
Yeah.
for me about certain things, whether it's someone that you've played against where that you know you're better than and they got selected higher than you. And just whoever you skate with or train with, find a way to make yourself better, whether they were in that draft or if they're already playing pro or whatever it is. Just find some sort of way to separate yourself each day from them. And that's what I've tried to do. That's what I continue to try to do. And just never being satisfied. I mean, obviously, yeah, you can go work out, and yeah, I did my work today, kind of thing, and just be and you just kind of stay mediocre. But like, okay, you worked out today. Can you go maybe add a skate on the same day as a workout, or add another skate, or shoot pucks, or do some wrist curls, whatever it is. Like, just find some sort of way, because not a lot of guys are willing to put in that extra mile, and are a lot of people, I'm sure, is whoever I'm speaking to, like, there's a lot of guys that kind of like to stay where they are and they let rest their laurels on where they're at right now. So just work your butt off to kind of move past those guys.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, 100%. Listen, brother, that's all I got for you today. I cannot thank you enough. I know you're in the off season. I know you're enjoying your time off. So I cannot thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to join us.
And Chris, man, thank you. It was an honor being able to speak with you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. And man, let's keep in touch. I can't wait to see what you do this upcoming season. There's no doubt in my mind that, the work that you're putting in is going to pay off. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Much appreciated, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, brother. Take care.